Hello, everyone, from the field office. I'm Robin Arndt,
And I'm Amy Sutherland.
and we are the field coordinators for the Department of Social Work at the Myron B. Thompson School of Social Work. Today, very quickly, we're going to talk about field interviews, which is something that you do at the beginning of the field placement to secure the field placement. So we refer you to different organizations. Correct?
Yes, to go do your interviews.
And then you are being asked to contact them to send out your resume, to schedule a time to meet with them, and then you have a interview, quote unquote. And it's an interview for them to get to know you, but also for
you to get to know them.
Yeah.
So it needs to be a placement that works for both people.
Exactly, right? And just as you will learn, or may have already learned, because some of you have jobs or have already been employed in different places, interviews are not something that comes naturally to a lot of people.
It takes practice.
It can be a little nerve-wracking, and practicing ahead of time can be really helpful. So, Amy, what are some tips that you give? And you used to be a field instructor as well.
Yes.
And I was a field instructor as well. So we can talk about it from that perspective. So when people were coming to interview with you, what were some of the things that you looked for?
Primarily, I think it's important when you go in to do your interview to be yourself, be genuine, but also come prepared. That was a big thing that we looked for when we did interviews, is making sure the students were ready to talk about themselves and knew a little bit about the agency and the program, the population served, so you could really fit together your skill set with what the program does.
And we know that many of you are going out into a social service agency or a government agency that uses social work or has social workers, but you've never had a social work experience before. But you can still talk about and express your interest in social work, or what are concrete examples of things that you've already done that could address some of the questions that are being answered. Because even though you haven't practiced social work, you still have very valuable experiences that you can draw upon and use in your conversations. I also looked for someone that was at least aware of what they were getting themselves into, so did some research on the organization or knew something about my program. And as well, they came prepared, looking professional, or looking like an appearance like they wanted to be there, that they were interested in being there, that they had prepared ahead of time, and it wasn't something where like they were rolling on a bed and showing up. Yeah.
On time, dressed appropriately. Yeah.
So we did a little bit of research, and we found some different schools of social work that have outlines of things that are helpful to take into consideration. So we'll just kind of mention a couple of them for you to consider as you prepare for your interviews. And one we already addressed, and that's have an appropriate appearance. So business casual, I think, is an appropriate term, although it can be hard to know what that really means sometimes. But making sure that,
Like this.
Yeah, actually, we are modeling this very well today. So for me, I'm wearing an aloha shirt, I have pants on, I have closed-toed shoes, which is an important thing for some locations because of different rules and regulations. But I'm not wearing shorts or anything like that today, which would be a good indicator. What about you?
Usually as like business casual, like this, or you want to avoid things like slippers or faded denim with holes in it. Most places in Hawaii are not super formal. So generally a suit would be overboard.
Yes.
Or spiky heels might be overboard.
Yeah.
So find a happy medium, but don't feel pressured that you have to dress beyond your means or go out and buy something super fancy. Just dress your best and appropriately.
And as you move on and you secure the placement, you'll learn more about what is appropriate attire for the specific setting that you will be placed in, and that varies from organization to organization. This is just in terms of your first introduction to who these people are. It's your first time that you're going to be making an impression. So that's also the first time that you are being seen as that professional social worker as you are starting to get into this role. What's on your list?
My list is always begin with a learner's stance, and I think that goes along with yours too, asking questions. So you always want to be prepared. You want to be able to go into the interview and also just in general, be prepared to learn and you want to communicate that in your interview, that your primary goal is to learn about social work and to learn what they do there. So also bring in
curious.
questions. Be curious, ask questions. Prepare some things ahead of time in terms of questions. That can be helpful because you don't want to get stuck. In the interview.
And it could be questions like, what do you look for in a student, or what are things, what are different experiences that you're able to offer a student, or for your field instructor, you could talk a little bit more about, could you tell me what your supervisions look like, or how you provide feedback, something, 2 or 3 just kind of concrete questions that, again, write them out ahead of time so that you're feeling less nervous about trying to think of them on the spot, and then you can always go to those questions when it comes time. I like this one, which is participate in mock interviews. As silly as it may seem, practicing your responses to questions ahead of time actually does help you to prepare. I often, when I'm interviewing, think about different questions that I may be asked, and then I'm trying to construct different answers to those, concrete answers of things that, again, are from my experience that I can use to articulate what I think that they're getting at in terms of the question itself. Any other ones that you like on your list?
I think it's kind of on here. This one says, be aware of field placement envy, which is kind of a good way of putting it, but basically going with an open mind. If the more open you are to new experiences in different agencies, the more comfortable you'll be in the interview and be able to learn more. If you go in thinking, I only want to work with this one particular very specific population, that can be a difficult fit sometimes. So being open to new experiences is really important.
And every single, at least from my perspective, every single one of the placements that you have an opportunity of going to, you learn something very valuable that you'll take with you. And sometimes it may be not a particular population that you want to work with in the future. That's still a very valuable experience that you can use to really carve out where your interests may lie as you go on. Were you going to say something more?
I was just going to say the skill set is applicable to multiple populations and services and programs. So the general's intervention model, and there's basic interviewing skills, all that stuff if you work with any population.
I liked, just on this one, this is from the University of Nevada at Reno, and they have, during the interview, don't chew gum, and pay attention to any other fidgety characteristics that you may have and work to minimize them. I think just being aware of yourself and your presence during the interview is helpful. Asking questions afterwards. Did I answer that question? Did you want me to tell you more about anything? Or having some sense of whether or not you're appropriately addressing what's being asked of you is also helpful. But have fun, I think. This doesn't have to be scary. It can be an enjoyable experience as well. And it's something that you'll take with you as you go out into your career, because we all interview all the time. And not all the time, but enough. Any other last minute thoughts you can think of?
I don't think so. I would say if you're really new to the field and don't have much experience, don't be afraid to ask them what they enjoy about the work, or an example of a typical day at the site, or what do the clients experience? Why do they come to the agency? It's good to ask questions like that.
It's a learning experience, and so the more you can learn about what they do and why they do it, or what brought them to social work, the easier it might be for you to identify those things in yourself as well. But you're all coming to the program with a variety of skills and knowledge and opportunities, and you can take these experiences and really run with them. I guess that's all we have for today, so thank you for looking and watching our video. Best of luck to you in your interviews, and we'll see you all soon at the field office or in class. Aloha!
Aloha!